Hi, welcome back everybody, or welcome if you're just joining us for the first time today. I'm Margie Maisonette. I'm the managing partner of Federal Practice Group, based here in Washington, D.C., affordable housing consultants, mostly to the federal government. And with me today, I'll let my co-facilitator introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Gates Dunaway. I'm with Tapestry Development Group. We're a nonprofit development consulting firm located in Decatur, Georgia, which is just outside of Atlanta. We are now embarking on Lesson 4, which is the last lesson of today, and this is a 2-day webinar. If you are just joining us, today's lesson is a lesson on the preservation of Section 202 properties. So again, if you haven't tuned into the prior two because you didn't have a 236, what we're going to do today is talk about the 202 program and the ways in which you can work within that program to preserve your property. And tomorrow we're going to start again at noon, and we'll have a lesson that starts at noon on Section 8. 1:15 we'll start on FHA refinancing, and at 2:30 on tax credit property. So let's get started on Lesson 4, the preservation of Section 202 supportive housing for the elderly. We have a few objectives for this lesson. The first is to give examples of Section 202 direct loan preservation issues and considerations, to identify Section 202 provisions that may apply to properties and their impact on repaying or prepaying mortgages, to accurately interpret Section 811 of the American Homeownership and Economic Opportunity Act of 2000 to determine its applicability to your properties, to recognize properties that are likely to benefit as a result of successful subordination of a 202 loan rather than repayment, and to accurately identify the provisions contained within the Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010 and how your property may benefit from these provisions. So topic 4.1 is the Section 202 direct loan preservation issues. Here's an overview of the program for those of you that don't already know this history. The 202 direct loan program ran from 1959 to 1990. It had several stages. There were projects financed from 1959 to 1974 called the old 202 direct loans. Those typically had below market interest rates of less than 6%, typically much lower, as low as 1%. At the time, they had little or no rental subsidy, and they rented to low and moderate income tenants, although we've seen some at very low income. Then the projects that were financed from 75 to 90, the newer direct 202s, those actually had market interest rates, and some were very high, whatever the market rate interest rate was at the time. But they also all had Section 8 of some sort. Many had them 100% for 100% of the units. Those properties rent to low and very low income. So in the old program, the idea was that the interest rate on the loan was low enough to assist with creating affordable rents. And in the newer program, while we had to pay the higher interest rates, there was subsidy to assist with the rental for the folks that were living there. Owners were single-purpose nonprofit entities. Many were not experienced and capitalized for redevelopment options available today. So this is just a point, not to insult anyone who owns one of these properties. The idea is that, especially if you're a single asset owner and a nonprofit, you're well-versed and very experienced at operating your property, and you know how to own your property well. But when it comes to refinancing and recapitalizing your property, you may not have direct experience in that, and that's what this bullet refers to. The last overview point is that the physical needs sometimes necessitate the use of tax credits to generate sufficient proceeds to cover the cost of the capital improvements. And this is here to allude to the last lesson we'll have, which is on the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. That's what that acronym LIHTC stands for. The older 202s, those you can imagine that were built in 59 that are 50 plus, 60 plus years old, they definitely have issues that could necessitate the highest level of capital needs. And out there today, pretty much the best program for high levels of capital needs is the tax credit program. Carrying on for the program overview, to successfully position a 202 property that may be aging, the owner may prepay and refinance the loan. So we're getting at what we talked about for the 236. We're just going to learn how it's different for the 202. Which is how to get prepayment permission and then to refinance. And you may choose to partner with another nonprofit, or you may want to form a tax credit limited partnership, again, to go after the tax credits that may be available. Other owners, as Margie talked about earlier, may choose to sell the property to a purchaser who would maintain affordability. And this also alludes to the new rules where if you sell, you may be able to keep the proceeds from the sale. If a Section 202 owner wishes to refinance the property, the proceeds from the new financing, which means the proceeds of the loan, whatever is available at the closing after you close on the new loan, they may be used for project purposes or for the benefit of the residents of the project or for residents of other HUD-assisted senior housing, presumably in your own portfolio. If the owner chooses to sell the property, the owner may use the net proceeds from the sale, which is, of course, what's left over after you pay off the property, the loan on the property, and you pay for the transactional costs. You can choose to use those proceeds for project purposes or for other charitable purposes of the nonprofit. Presumably, if you sell the property, you're not going to have interest in the property anymore, and you wouldn't necessarily want to put it in your own property. And this alludes to the fact that you now can keep the proceeds just as long, with the caveat that you are using them in compliance with your 501c3 status. You can't go out and do anything that would run afoul of that.
Is it mission related?
Mission related to your 202. I mean, to your 501c3. Topic 4.2 is relates to the Section 202 prepayments. So the Section 202 Prepayment Authority. The American Homeownership and Economic Opportunity, which AHEO is what that stands for, the Act of 2000, authorized prepayment of Section 202 direct loans. The HUD Notice H 2012-08, which was published May 7th of this year, provides guidance on all 202 prepayments, and it supersedes, in this one particular area, it supersedes notices 2002-16 and 2010-14. So it supersedes them in the area of prepayment provisions. So this notice 2012-08, it implements the Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010, which was, so this is the notice that puts that into action. We've had that act out there since 2010, and this is the notice we've been waiting on. HUD Notice 2004-21, though, provides guidelines for underwriting FHA loans to refinance Section 202 properties. So it still exists and is still pertinent to these. But the part that is pertinent relates to the underwriting for the FHA loans.
So it sounds like you need to be familiar with aspects of both notices.
Yeah, you really need to understand them all, to be honest with you, because you want to know what was even superseded, because
Sure.
sometimes that's what you get into discussions with your lenders, and you want to know what the new rules are. So let's look at types of Section 202 prepayments. And just like with the 236 loans, there are some that need approval and some that don't. The first we're going to look at are the ones that do not need HUD approval, and it's a small subset of Section 202 projects that were approved from 77 to 82 that do not require HUD permission to prepay. Number two, refinance to reduce interest rates. For projects that were financed between 75 and 91, except for those mentioned in the above bullet, HUD permission to prepay is required. Owners may prepay and refinance if the refinance involves a lower interest loan and the owner can demonstrate debt service savings for the project. Because remember, everything after 75 was paying market interest rate on their debt, so often it's going to be higher than today's interest rate. So you must demonstrate debt service savings in order to prepay, get permission to prepay. Notice 2012-08 provides the guidance on these prepayments. And owners of properties listed under the first bullet, those that are between 77 and 82, they may also opt to prepay under this notice in order to receive the incentive of retaining above-market Section 8 rents. And I think you're going to touch on this a little bit tomorrow, Margie?
Yeah, a little, because they were precluded from having, going through mark to market. So some of those properties do have Section 8 rents above market.
Above market, and typically we would find those renewing under option 4 of the renewal guide. Which that's kind of what it is. So if you have above market rents on your 202 property and you do not require HUD permission to prepay, you may want to still fall under this notice and ask for permission to prepay in order to retain your above market rents, is what that means. There are the types of Section 202 prepayments. Then there's this third one, refinancing to make repairs even if no debt service savings is anticipated. Where would this be? This would be for the loans that were made before 75 that were at below market interest rates. So projects that were financed prior to 75 had low interest rate loans that are below 6%. I see them between 1% and 3% most often. Even with today's historically low interest rates, which we are closing loans around 3% today, these projects are likely not to have lower debt service if they refinance. HUD will approve requests to refinance into loans with higher interest rates if the owner completes a substantial rehab on the property and if the funds are available. HUD may make the rental assistance available to the unassisted residents. So these are the properties that don't fall under the second category we just discussed with the higher interest rate that are going to get reduced. All right, let's look at Section 202, Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010. Excuse me. Section 811 of AHEO provided general authority for the prepayment of Section 202 mortgages. The Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act amends this to update the law governing prepayments for all Section 202 properties. It redefines private nonprofit ownership entity, continued ownership by control of one or more nonprofits, which may also now include tax credit limited partnerships. And this is a way to facilitate the use of tax credits. So what this bullet is telling us is that now we can alter the definition of a nonprofit-owned property and allow for a traditional ownership arrangement you find in a tax credit deal, which is that the property is now owned by a taxable entity, that still can qualify you under this bullet. Notice 2012-08 implements this new law. There are new preservation requirements here. If HUD approval for the prepayment is required, HUD then may approve the prepayment, but the owner must execute a use agreement to ensure the continued operation as a 202 property at the same level of affordability for at least 20 years beyond the original mortgage date. We have clients that got in before this act was enacted, and they were able to get permission to prepay before this, and they didn't have to tack on the additional 20 years. This is a change that adds a 20 years to your use agreement in return for prepayment permission. Owners must comply with the normal tenant notification and tenant comment requirements as well. The new flexibilities of Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010 include: it authorizes subordination or assumption of the existing 202 debt, and that could be in lieu of a refinance and payoff. It authorizes the waiver of payment of the flexible subsidy loans that we just talked about under the last section. These can be assumed. And it allows new uses of proceeds from the refinance. An owner may use all of the proceeds for the benefit of the existing project residents to convert the units to reduce vacancies, as we discussed in the last lesson, to pay developer fee, which is a new development, or for the benefit of elderly residents of other HUD-assisted senior housing, again, presumably within the owner's portfolio. Continuing on, the Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010, it allows for the expanded use of proceeds to support services for seniors, meaning you can now take some of your proceeds and use them specifically for those support services. It authorizes owners to receive a markup to market, or as a nonprofit, the Chapter 15 rent increase, which is also known as markup to budget, on the Section 8 units.
And we'll go in depth on that topic tomorrow.
Yeah, we go in depth in that topic tomorrow at the noon lesson. And under the new notice 2012-08, in the event of a sale of a 202 project as opposed to the refinance, the owner, of course, may realize the full amount of the net sales proceeds. We should add there. So we keep hammering that home. That's a big benefit that people need to remember and know about in terms of looking at options. Key provisions of this act for pre-1975 properties. The law makes special provisions of pre-75 properties with direct interest rates of 6% or less. It allows for the prepayment in order to address physical needs of the property where there is no debt service savings that is expected. And the act specifies that no unassisted elderly resident may be displaced or may face rent increases. To prevent the displacement of these unassisted tenants, the act authorizes new project-based rental assistance for non-assisted units. And we touched on this Senior Project Rental Assistance Contract called SPRAC. And I believe there's a forthcoming notice that we're all anxiously awaiting to talk a little bit more about that. If the project does not receive SPRAC assistance, HUD may provide vouchers to those unassisted residents. So remember, the pre-75 properties are the ones with the low interest rates, but also with very little to no Section 8. So we're going to go into a little activity here. And I think, Margie, you want to read it and
Sure.
about me answering?
Okay, so what we're going to do is review each statement, and then Gates is going to tell us whether the statement does or does not apply to Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act. So, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
I just want to make sure the answer didn't pop up before you get a chance to see it. All right, so the statement authorizes the subordination or assumption of existing 202 debt. Does it apply?
Yes, we specifically talked about the subordination or something, yes.
Oh, you have a good memory?
Yes.
All right. Our next statement improves the energy and water efficiency of the property, resident health, and benefits the environment.
Well, since it requires recapitalization or addressing capital needs, it certainly is going to address the energy and water efficiency of the property. And the resident health, it doesn't address it directly. Is that the answer?
That's correct.
I think that was a trick question.
It was a trick question, but you caught on.
You could address it through the work, but it's not directly a part of that act.
That's correct. All right, our next statement. A housing subsidy is paid directly to the landlord. Does it apply to the act?
Well, not directly, although it does mention SPRAC as a benefit, but it doesn't actually create SPRAC or issue SPRAC. So SPRAC would be the only subsidy that might come out of this, but it's not directly out of that act. So I'd say no.
You would be correct. And I guess somebody could probably convince me the answer would be yes, enhance
that's true.
project vouchers, but
That's
no,
true.
for this purpose, you're correct. All right, reduces the cost of insurance claims.
Well, I'd just quickly say no, because I couldn't imagine why.
Why it would be yes?
Why it would be yes. I don't remember anything about it, talking about that.
You're right. Okay. Going on. Helps expand the supply of affordable housing with supportive services for the elderly.
Well, I think the new provision does allow proceeds to be used for support services, which is a change. So I think that would be yes.
That would be correct. All right. Next, prepayment requires HUD consent.
Prepayment requires HUD consent. Yes, we discussed that. So yes.
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 We had that little carve out for those properties where it didn't, but generally, yes, the answer is yes. All right, next one, preserves long-term low-income housing affordability by restructuring FHA insured or HUD-held mortgages.
Well, I don't think we talk about that at all, so I'd have to say no. There's no discussion of restructuring the mortgage, only paying it off or subordinating it. Is that right?
That's correct. And obviously because the 202s are not considered FHA insured.
That's true. That's another
part
trick.
of it as well.
So that answer is no.
Although, some people would consider the direct loans to be the same as a HUD held, but you're
Yeah.
right. All right, so that answer is no. All right, moving on. Proceeds from the new loan must be used to benefit tenants of the project, or proceeds may be used to benefit elderly residents of other HUD-assisted senior housing.
I think I heard myself say that like 3 times, so I think it would be yes. Hammer that one home.
I think you would be. So maybe we probably should have switched it to see if I was listening to you, right? Okay. Lesson learned. All right. It allows for prepayment in order to address physical needs of the property.
Oh, most certainly. That's one of the goals, yes.
Just not necessarily energy efficiency, right? No, I'm kidding.
That's right. Thanks a lot.
All right. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, let's look at the process. We just have one little slide on this. So when you're interested in getting prepayment approval on your 202 loan, you apply directly to your field office. The approval will go more smoothly, and we should have said this all along, if the owner discusses the prepayment application in detail with HUD prior to submission and make sure you understand the required information. So that's the idea of having HUD on board from the very beginning. I would recommend that for any sort of strategy you're employing. Often a prepayment request is in conjunction with other approvals. That could be the deferral of a flex subloan. It could be new financing. Let your HUD manager know that, project manager know that when you speak with them. And then the final approval is done is completed at HUD headquarters. And once the prepayment, often the prepayment is in conjunction with other financing. So of course, it's important to time the prepayment request accordingly, and the process may take several weeks. We'll get into this more when we talk about the actual use of FHA financing as a prepayment and repayment and refinancing tool. Your lender will be walking with you every step of the way and will often help in that process. So the next topic is 4.3, the subordination of 202 loans. So the first question is that we throw out is, do you understand what a subordination is? A subordinated debt is debt which ranks after other debts And then, so basically, if you would have a first mortgage and your 202 would fall from first position to second position, would be subordinated to your first loan. It's important to note that it doesn't have as much a right to liquidation and collateral as the first lender does. Notice 2010-26 establishes policies and procedures for the review of requests to subordinate a 202 loan only in cases where the refinancing of these loans under the Notice 2004-21, which are post-74 Section 202 projects, is not feasible. So you can only go after this if you can't find a way to refinance it or pay it off. Owners with projects with 202 direct loans that have immediate needs for rehab, significant or emergency repairs, and cannot be paid off using outstanding 202 refinancing proceeds, the proceeds when you get your new loan, those may propose a transaction to fund the rehabilitation in which the existing 202 debt is not paid off but is instead subordinated. So the requirements for the subordination of a 202 direct loan: you must show that it's necessary to preserve long-term preservation of the property. Otherwise, you would somehow lose the asset or lose the affordability. You must demonstrate that the 202 loan and the new financing can be both repaid. So often you're having to show subordination of the 202 loan and perhaps repaid from cash flow. The owner or the buyer must be in compliance with HUD 2530 requirements. So you'd be expected to complete that form and get approval from HUD. And you must meet the ownership requirements of the 202 program in terms of nonprofit ownership. There is no equity permitted in equity takeout permitted in a subordination. This might be one of the biggest things to note, especially if you're considering a large-scale transaction such as a tax credit transaction that actually allows, for instance, developer fee. Well, you wouldn't be able to take your developer fee if you couldn't pay off your 202 loan. If you could take your developer fee, you'd have to apply it to your 202 loan. Is the way we look at it.
Why does everybody be doing it, right?
I know.
I would.
Rent increases are allowed to cover only the project costs. A new use agreement is required for 20 years beyond the maturity date of the 202 current use agreement. So just as with prepayment permission, which tacks on a 20 years to your existing use agreement, you're also tacking on 20 years to your use agreement even when you subordinate. And then it says here the 202 loan repayment terms are flexible. Additional requirements: you must have a REACT score of 60 or greater. And I believe we talked about there's some flexibility in that. If you can demonstrate that to get the REACT score up, you need to go through this process. A satisfactory more for the last 3 cycles.
Management or occupancy review. Yes.
You must be current on your mortgage payment for at least the past 3 years to even qualify for the subordination. You must not have any defaults or violations. You must be compliant with fair housing laws, and you must not have any delinquencies. To apply for subordination of a Section 202 direct loan, apply, of course, to your HUD program center, and then they'll submit the request to HUD headquarters for review. So we have another little activity that I think Margie's going to read and test me on again.
Sure. All right. So in this activity, we're going to discuss and explain terms related to the fair market value, the existing loan balance, and rehab costs for our little case study here. So this activity is a subordination of 202 direct loans. The property is a senior apartment property with 20 units that has an existing HUD Section 202 direct loan, and it's in need of significant rehab of about $50,000 a unit. To fund the necessary repairs, the owner is refinancing. So we know that the fair market value is $2 million.
Which, I make a point, is not the same as the amount of loan you might get. It's probably going to be a lower loan amount than the fair market value.
Okay. The existing loan balance is $500,000, and the total cost of rehab is $1 million, which of course is our $50,000 a unit times the 20 units that we have. So Gates, so what do you see as the pros and cons of structuring this deal as a prepayment? So let's do prepayment first.
So even though the title of the lesson is subordination.
That's correct. I have to mix it up a little.
All right. So a pro of prepayment, let's see. The first one would be that you would be able to get equity out of the deal. I guess this is in contrast to a subordination. So in prepayment, you're going to be able to be free to take proceeds from the deal as equity. That would be one of the best pros. And then I guess another one is you're going to just get rid of the 202 loan through the new sources of financing.
Okay.
The cons would be, of course, you're going to have to tack on a new 20 years onto your use agreement. So you have to take that additional 20 years on. And then you're having to use some of the proceeds of your loan instead of putting it all into repairs. You're having to use some of it to pay off the actual old loan.
All right. So, yep, just like you said, the pro is you won't have the debt anymore through your new mortgage that you get. And you may be able to get equity out of the deal, which you mentioned you could not do under subordination. The cons is, will you have enough proceeds from the new financing to pay off the existing loan? And your use restriction will get extended for 20 years. Which personally, I never see that as a con.
I know. We're in it for life.
That's right. That's right. All right. So now let's talk about the pros and cons of structuring the deal as a subordination instead of a prepayment.
Okay, in contrast to a prepayment, so a pro of subordination would be if you needed the funds for rehabilitation and it prevented you from being able to pay the 202, you can now subordinate, not pay the 202 loan off precisely for the use, for the benefit of the renovation. What would be another pro? I can't think of another pro. The cons, well, you have the same con. It's not different than the other, but you need to extend your use agreement by 20 years. But I guess the biggest con is the fact that you can't take any equity out of the deal, and also it puts some limits on your rental increase requirements as well.
So do you see, I'll just throw this out there, in terms of process, in terms of a prepayment or, paid it off versus a subordination in terms of just overall processing? One is more beneficial to the other in terms of time and paperwork?
We see very few folks wanting to subordinate, and we hear that is a much longer and more complicated process. So I would throw that in potentially as a con as well.
Okay. So let's kind of recap and see how many of these you hit. One of the pros listed, and like you, HUD only came up with one pro. You don't have to use the proceeds from the new financing to pay off old debt when you're subordinating the existing debt. Some of the cons, it requires the first position debt to accept the old 202 second position, and can't take out the equity. And the current use restriction is extended for 20 years. And I do know that, historically HUD would never subordinate any debt, be it a 202 or any other type of loan. So that is something from more recent years. All right. Explain the impact of interest rates on the existing loan and on new financing.
If the interest rate on the old loan is very high, then and the new debt would be much lower interest rate, you'd be incented to pay off the old 202 and be using a lower interest rate. But the reverses is if you have a low interest rate 202 and you don't see savings, you might be incented, if it wasn't complicated and all the other things, to subordinate so you can keep your low interest rate.
Okay, exactly right. So again, if the interest rate on the existing loan is lower than what you can get today, the prepayment, you might not want to prepay it. And if the interest rate on the existing loan is higher than what you can get today, you might want to pay it off.
Right.
All right. So what would you do, Gates, if the interest rate on the old 202 is 12%, given what you just learned?
I just learned that I would pay it off.
All right, prepay if possible. What would you do if the interest rate on your existing 202 is 3%?
The right answer, I think, is subordinate, but I'd still pay that sucker off.
Well, like we said, there's never just one answer
That's
here.
right,
That's correct.
right.
All right. Well, we're almost to the end here, so let's go on to our review questions, and I'll hand it back to you.
I'll be testing you this time, Margie. Which of the following are valid actions an owner can take to successfully position an aging 202 property? And it says circle all that apply, and I'll give you a hint. It is 3 of the 4. That's pretty easy. We're looking for the one that doesn't apply. So which of the following are valid actions? 1, partner with another nonprofit organization. What do you think?
I like that one.
I like that one too. Prepay and refinance the loan. I think we just talked
about that. Yep.
Operate the project until the maturity date.
Yeah, not so much. It just...
Well, but I will pause and say that you're right. We don't address it, but a lot of folks ask that question.
Yes.
They say, why don't we just let the thing mature and then we don't have to worry about HUD or debt service? And one of the things that's out there that's still a vulnerable area is your Section 8 rent increase and your continued request with no debt service in there. So you know, it's potential that your rent increase potential is vulnerable in a situation where you have prepaid or you have let your loan mature. But there's also benefits to
Sure.
to prepaying.
And conversely, if you don't have 100% Section 8, if you let it mature, you won't be able to get
The-
tenant protection vouchers
for
for
the
your
other
non-assisted units.
Yep. So there we go, all but the third one. Oh, do we even go down? We didn't do the last one. Sell the project to a purchaser who will maintain affordability. We spoke.
Which is an option.
That is an option, okay.
It's always an option.
So let's look at question 2. Which of the following is the most accurate description of the subordination of a 202 direct loan? A tool that may prove advantageous to Section 202 owners and developers using tax credits to do substantial rehabilitation. A tool that prevents displacement of unassisted residents via a rent subsidy. The authorization required to obtain SPRAC. And the last one is the payoff of a 202 mortgage after providing the required 30-day written notice. So which of the following is the most accurate description of the subordination of a 202 direct loan?
Well, this is actually easy. This one is definitely a tool that can prove advantageous to 202 owners and developers using low-income housing tax credits to do sub-rehab. Although we did talk, obviously, with the subordination, there's no equity takeout, so you
Yeah.
have to consider that. It would not be B, C, or D. And it mostly wouldn't be C because I don't know enough about SPRAC to say it would be, so.
All right. Question 3. Which provisions represent new flexibilities included in Section 202 of the Supportive Housing, Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010? And circle all that apply. 1, or A, is authorized below-market interest rate insured loans to private builders who agree to develop affordable housing units reserved for low-income families and seniors.
You didn't mention that at all.
I didn't
so I'm
mention
not
that.
picking
That
one.
goes in a whole different lesson. That's been taken.
Is that tomorrow,
So
maybe?
let's say no on that one. Authorizes owners to receive a markup to market or the Chapter 15 rent increase on the Section 8 units.
You did mention that.
We did talk about that. It authorizes waiver of payment of the flex subloans.
Also true.
We talked about that. And it reduces project-based Section 8 subsidized rents that were greater than market level in projects with FHA insured mortgages.
That would be mark to market and
That would
not the
be-
program we're currently
Yeah,
discussing.
that would be a trick question. We've heard it, but it's not applicable. So B and C are the correct answers to review question 3. So we're at the end of this lesson. We're going to do our objective review. The first objective was to give examples of 202 direct loan preservation issues and considerations, which we did. The second was to identify Section 202 provisions that may apply to properties and their impact on repaying or prepaying the mortgage. And the last on this slide is accurately interpret Section 811 of the American Homeownership and Economic Opportunity Act of 2000, a mouthful, to determine its applicability to properties. We did that.
I like to call it AHHO. I might be the only one I know.
Sounds Hawaiian.
It does.
Recognize properties that are likely to benefit as a result of successful subordination of 202 direct loans. We talked a bit about that. And accurately identify the provisions contained within the Section 202 Supportive Housing for the Elderly Act of 2010 and how your property may benefit from these provisions. I think we did that. So thank you. This concludes Lesson 4 and Day 1 of this webinar. We'll remind you that we have a day starting up tomorrow at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time, and we have 3 lessons tomorrow starting at noon, 1:15, and 2:30 tomorrow. Please tune in if you're interested in Section 8 renewal, FHA refinancing, and tax credit programs. And also a reminder that if you couldn't watch all of these or you have folks that might want to see them, this webinar will be archived in the HUD website in the future, very soon in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.